This is an extremely difficult time for New York City, for our state, and the entire world. I wish everyone good health. That includes people in prisons, jails, and immigration detention, where social distancing and proper hygiene are simply not possible, and countless people are at serious risk of illness and death. This message is for Governor Andrew Cuomo. As this pandemic spreads, public health and safety and basic moral decency demand that you use your authority to issue clemency to those most vulnerable in our state prisons and reduce the overall population. Releasing the elderly, pregnant women, and others who are immunocompromised, as well as anyone within a year of their release dates, would show great leadership, and that's what New York needs now.
Spread of coronavirus in prisons threatens the health and safety of all of us. When you're incarcerated, there's no such thing as social distancing, and ensuring good hygiene is not an option. Leaders must do everything possible to prevent incarcerated people and those who work in prisons from becoming ill and spreading the virus. Governor Cuomo, it's time for action. You can make communities across New York safer and healthier by reducing prison population. I'm urging you to immediately issue clemency to people in prison who are old, have underlying health conditions, or are pregnant. Thank you, Governor Cuomo, for all you're doing to keep New York healthy. Let's make sure as we all fight COVID together, we continue to look out for our most vulnerable populations. The spread of coronavirus in prisons threatens the health and safety of all of us. When you're incarcerated, there's no such thing as social distancing, and ensuring good hygiene is not an option. Leaders must do everything possible to prevent incarcerated people and those who work in prisons from becoming ill and spreading the virus. Governor Cuomo, it's time for action. You can make communities across New York safer and healthier by reducing prison population. I'm urging you to immediately issue clemency to people in prison who are old, have underlying health conditions, or are pregnant. Thank you, Governor Cuomo, for all you're doing to keep New York healthy. Let's make sure as we all fight COVID together, we continue to look out for our most vulnerable populations.
The spread of the coronavirus in our nation's prisons is a threat to the health and safety of us all. There's no such thing as social distancing in prison, and every day, prisoners and those who work in prisons are getting sick, increasing the likelihood that they'll carry the virus home to their families and their communities. Nowhere is this more evident than in New York City. And that's why we're calling upon our community leaders and you, Governor Cuomo, not to limit the scope of your compassion. You have the power to reduce the prison population now. We call upon you to do so and keep us all healthier and more safe. Thank you. The spread of the coronavirus in our nation's prisons is a threat to the health and safety of us all. There's no such thing as social distancing in prison, and every day, prisoners and those who work in prisons are getting sick, increasing the likelihood that they'll carry the virus home to their families and their communities. Nowhere is this more evident than in New York City. And that's why we're calling upon our community leaders and you, Governor Cuomo, not to limit the scope of your compassion. You have the power to reduce the prison population now. We call upon you to do so and keep us all healthier and more safe. Thank you. The spread of the coronavirus in our nation's prisons is a threat to the health and safety of us all.
DJ K. Slay, Hot 97, on-air personality, Shade 45, Sirius Radio, CEO of Straight Stunt Magazine, yada, yada, yada. Solitary confinement is not rehabilitating, it's destroying. Let me stick you in a box, you understand, and don't give you a contact with the world and feed you slop. You understand, for about a month, a week, a year. Some people go crazy in there. Some people died in the box before. You understand? That's something that I wouldn't even do to a pet dog if it got me angry. You understand what I'm saying? It's inhumane. It's unheard of. I don't know who started it. Whoever started it, they need to put their ass in there for a little while and see how they like it. Yo, it's DJ K. Slay. Don't wait till it comes to your hometown or to somebody you love to feel affected and want to be a part of it. Be a part of it right now. Be the voice for people that don't have a voice for themselves.
The spread of coronavirus in prisons threatens the health and safety of us all. When you're incarcerated, there's no such thing as social distancing, and personal hygiene just isn't an option. Our leaders have to do everything within their power to prevent incarcerated people and those working in prisons from getting sick and spreading this virus. Governor Cuomo, it's time for action. You can make communities across New York State safer and healthier by reducing the prison population now.
Coronavirus in prisons threatens the health and safety of all of us. When you're incarcerated, there's no such thing as social distancing, and ensuring good hygiene is not an option. Leaders must do everything possible to prevent incarcerated people and those who work in prisons from becoming ill and spreading the virus. I'm calling on Governor Andrew Cuomo to take action in New York by granting clemency to New Yorkers in prison. The lives of so many people depend on his action. No one deserves to die in prison from COVID-19. The spread of coronavirus in prisons threatens the health and safety of all of us. When you're incarcerated, there's no such thing as social distancing, and ensuring good hygiene is not an option. Leaders must do everything possible to prevent incarcerated people and those who work in prisons from becoming ill and spreading the virus. I'm calling on Governor Andrew Cuomo to take action in New York by granting clemency to New Yorkers in prison. The lives of so many people depend on his action. No one deserves to die in prison from COVID-19.
The spread of coronavirus in jails and prisons threatens the health and safety of New Yorkers. When someone is incarcerated, there is no such thing as social distancing, and ensuring good hygiene is not an option. Leaders must do everything possible to prevent incarcerated people and those who work in prisons from becoming ill and spreading the virus. Governor Cuomo, it's time for action. You can make communities across New York safer and healthier by reducing the prison population. You can grant immediate clemency to people who are close to their release date, incarcerated for parole violations, or especially vulnerable because of their age or underlying health conditions. Governor Cuomo, free them now. Thank you, and hope you are having a good week. Take care. The spread of coronavirus in jails and prisons threatens the health and safety of New Yorkers. When someone is incarcerated, there is no such thing as social distancing, and ensuring good hygiene is not an option. Leaders must do everything possible to prevent incarcerated people and those who work in prisons from becoming ill and spreading the virus. Governor Cuomo, it's time for action. You can make communities across New York safer and healthier by reducing the prison population. You can grant immediate clemency to people who are close to their release date, incarcerated for parole violations, or especially vulnerable because of their age or underlying health conditions. Governor Cuomo, free them now. Thank you, and hope you are having a good week. Take care. The spread of coronavirus in jails and prisons threatens the health and safety of New Yorkers. When someone is incarcerated, there is no such thing as social distancing, and ensuring good hygiene is not an option. Leaders must do everything possible to prevent incarcerated people and those who work in prisons from becoming ill and spreading the virus. Governor Cuomo, it's time for action. You can make communities across New York safer and healthier by reducing the prison population. You can grant immediate clemency to people who are close to their release date, incarcerated for parole violations, or especially vulnerable because of their age or underlying health conditions. Governor Cuomo, free them now. Thank you, and hope you are having a good week. Take care.
Guys, listen to me. Don't swipe. Please just give me 1 second of your time. This video is for the young brother that literally made himself a sacrificial lamb for our fathers, our brothers, our sisters, our husbands, our sons, our daughters, where he literally broke the fourth wall in what's going on in these prisons as far as the coronavirus. In his cell right now, and probably so many of our family members, there are people suffering for their lives. They are, one, not being treated, and two, they are not being isolated. They are in general population. This is literally death sentences for anyone that comes in close contact with these people. Whether you are young, old, have a pre-existing condition or not, people are dying from this disease and they are doing nothing. What you can do, if you care, if you have a family member in there, call your local officials and do not stop. Call the councilman, call the councilwoman, call the governors. Call the governors. To this young brother that made himself a sacrificial lamb, please, if you know him, send his information to Until Freedom. That's at Until Freedom. Send his information there. We want to make sure that he is protected. We want to make sure that he is not harmed or violated, and that he gets the help that he needs. If you know his family's information, please, we want to make sure that he is safe and gets the help that he needs. Please, please, please DM it to that address. I won't see it if you send it to me directly. This needs immediate action. I'm sure in every single state across this country, there are people that are incarcerated that are not being adhered to. What we are doing what I'm doing, I can't speak for everyone else. When I'm calling these government officials, I'm asking for those people that have nonviolent crimes or less than a year left to be sentenced to home confinement on an ankle bracelet. Once this is over, if they need to finish their time back in, bring them back in. But let them go home to home confinement. If they don't have a home to go to, there are tons of hotels and churches that are empty right now. The National Guard and police officers are coming in by the boatloads. Have them stand at the door of these hotels. Get the inmates that are healthy and unaffected by this virus out of there so they are not sentenced to a death sentence. This is literally killing these people that have nonviolent crimes. They are not sentenced to life in prison, and they are not sentenced to the death penalty. This is inhumane treatment. In the case of a pandemic, it is our responsibility as this democracy to make sure these people and their needs are adhered to. We cannot forget about them. Please, if you are in solidarity with them, on Wednesday at 12 p.m. Until Freedom is doing a Facebook Live with some really important information on what we can do to help our brothers and sisters that are locked up and locked away. Whether you have someone in there or not, this is a crisis that affects all of us. So please take the time to really get involved. The other thing that I want to do, I want to let these prisoners know that we hear them, we see them. I'm going to put together, the virus sign, the little green ugly thing that pops up if you write the word virus. When crisis happen, we normally do a blackout on our Instagram screen, but I'm going to announce a time and a date for us to just put that virus sign in our Instagram feed. If you're a blogger, if you're a podcaster, let's show these prisoners that we are in solidarity with them. We hear them, we see them, and we know that we need to stop this even behind the walls. And we just want to let them know. So I'm going to let you guys know the time. So when you scroll up and down, you will see this to let them know that we hear you, we see you, and we want to stop this as well. So we are going to do a virus shutdown to let them know this is kind of like a social distance protest, but there will be some more marching orders because we cannot let this go untalked about, unheard of. We have got to do something to fight for them. On my side, behind the scenes, everything that's happening, I will not be able to post, but trust and believe this revolution will be televised through Instagram. But please, y'all, just don't forget about them and call your local officials. Let them know this is what needs to happen. This is what we are demanding. At least if you're going to have an isolation tent, have the isolation tent be for those that are suffering through this virus and get them the proper Medicare there, get them the proper ventilation there. But don't just have a tent for people that are passing away. Have it so that the people that are being affected by this virus can get the proper care. And the population that doesn't have it doesn't continue to be affected by it. Like, these are some of the things that I would think are elementary. I just don't understand how we just let these people just die. And in the video, he says that the nurse literally came in here and said, oh, half of y'all are going to die in here. Could you imagine your father or your son or your husband having less than a year left for a minor drug offense or a child support offense or whatever the other reasonings are, riding a dirt bike or whatever, and now they die in jail and you can't even visit them because they have this virus. You can't even give them a proper funeral because they're going to burn the body. Okay, guys, listen to me. Don't swipe, please.
People always ask me, what is it like to be in a box? What is it like to be in solitary? Well, what do you do past staring at the walls? What do you do past counting the bricks in your cell?
You stare so hard you can see the paint strokes in the wall. Your mind starts to deteriorate. You drift. You live off of your memories. And when those start to fade, you forget what your kid face looks like. You can't remember the last time you've seen another person or touched another person. These type of things lead you into delirium, into hallucinating. And you end up talking to yourself. You end up having the comfort of your own mind, but without anyone else there to validate what you're doing is correct. How do you know you're not going crazy? How do you know talking to yourself is not problematic? We don't. So we're social creatures, right? We are connected to each other in a way that social activity determines how we make decisions, right? Those type of extreme differences causes permanent damage to the human being.